Hey, everybody. What's up? It is your Entrepreneur's Advisor, Natalie Freeman. We're doing our podcast now, y'all. This is our Freedom Financial Entrepreneurship series, where we spotlight a business owner who's not only just generating income, but they're building businesses of significance and value. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means later. But right now, I want to get into our introduction. It's the bishop and the business owner, Mr. Farris Long. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and allowing us to intersect your time of ministry. So we appreciate that.
My honor.
So Bishop Farris Long is the senior pastor of Kingdom Life Church of Knoxville. He's a strategist, leader, mentor, but he's also curated multiple income streams across various industries, y'all. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Not only how he has a differentiated business model, but also how he balances the pastorate, his professional life, and his personal life. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about what it looks like for someone in his industries to exit or transition at some point in time. All right. Listeners, feel free to put your comments in. You can always email us at successfulbutsinglepodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe and share it with a friend. It's good for business owners, singles, and just anybody else who wants to listen in to become more successful. So, Bishop.
Yes.
Walk us through your journey of how you started out in the world of work, like all of us, as an employee, but you made that transition into ministry and entrepreneurship.
I have a unique story because I've been in ministry since the day before I turned 18. That's when I started in ministry. So I now have about 31. Matter of fact, December made 31 years of being in. So that was my starting point. I was working selling Yellow Page advertising some years ago when there was such a thing as
Yellow Pages. I remember the Yellow Pages. Yellow Pages.
When there was a thing called Yellow Pages, and I used to sell the advertising that goes in the Yellow Pages, and then shortly after that, I remember being in a position where the Lord began to speak to me about. I started doing graphics, and it kind of came in a very unique and weird way. I started doing graphics, and I built a graphic design company. I was the sole proprietor of the design company, but I got it to a place where it was able to sustain me. We went through some struggles, of course, but ultimately it was able to provide income to the point where after I went through a divorce back in 2013, I think back, it's been so long. After I went through my divorce, I ended up moving to Knoxville, Tennessee. And when I got here, I was already an elder in the Lord's church, but then I was serving alongside my bishop, and I was his executive assistant. It wasn't a full-time position. It wasn't something I was getting major money for. So I needed something.
Yes.
And that's where my graphics kicked in, and that really sustained me and supported me during that time, along with my itinerant ministry.
I love it. So you're bivocational.
Yes.
In some regards, probably even trivocational. You threw out a lot of stuff in there, sales and marketing. And I believe all those things even go into shaping ministries for the kingdom, because they do need some components of all of those things, graphics and marketing. And even when I say sales, not in a bad way, but we are always convincing some audience of something in all settings. So I really love that. So it all just fell together, and you're able to balance all of those. Yes, that is so awesome. Now, what was an aha moment for you where you saw that all of those things were just going to work together? Did they just kind of fall in place? Because you said that there were some challenges. I think business owners need to know that it's okay to navigate the challenges.
I think it's important to identify there are going to be challenges, but you have to know within your heart that you're committed to whatever you're called to. And I'm not even necessarily going to be just spiritually deep and talk about it's a God calling, even though at the deepest level it probably is. But most of us as entrepreneurs don't get into something if it's not a passion.
Exactly.
Most of us as an entrepreneur do not get into something if it's not a passion, or it's not developing into one. Some things may not start off as your passion, but it can be that something deep on the inside that's starting to kind of feel that pull towards it that gets you there. I don't think every person that does a podcast, and I'm saying this, we're on one right now. I don't think anybody that started a podcast initially had a passion for podcasts.
Right.
But they found a space where there was a need that needed to be met. They found a space where there was a need that needed to be met. And that was where they jumped in. And that's how it became their passion, because they're meeting a need. You wouldn't be doing this podcast if you didn't see that there was a niche somewhere that fit who you are.
That's
and
right.
so that I would say to every person who's considering entrepreneurship or who is in entrepreneurship, drive you.
Yes.
That's what has to drive you, because if you be honest, most of us who started out in entrepreneurship, you might have been working a 40-hour-a-week job. You work more hours now as an entrepreneur.
Say it again.
Than you did working for someone else.
Right.
And many times, depending on what type of industry you're in, the check then was more stable and consistent than your check now.
Say that. Come on, cash flow.
And so it can become challenging. One of the challenges can become the desire to quit and to give up because it looks like it's not working.
Come on now. Talk about it. The commitment. Yes.
There has to be a commitment.
So true.
What you feel called to do. And I use that word again loosely, whether it be you feel the God calling or whether you feel it just as an innate calling within you. There has to be a commitment to the call.
Yes, you have to balance the commitment and the call, y'all. And it's usually the call that drives the commitment, and hopefully the commitment that drives the call. I love, though, that you said something. You said a couple of things, right? So we're going to roll it right back and dig into some of those. You found a secular job, or you found just a business that sustained you. Some people think my call should sustain me. And ideally, y'all, we want it to, because we don't want to be working 10, 20, 30 jobs. However, you were okay with setting up something that sustained you so that you could do what you love. And I love that. There are a lot of bivocational pastors out there, my pastor including one. So talk to people a little bit about being okay with working, because work can still be a call. Even out there, I've reached many more people in the financial industry, and that can still be a call by helping them save, helping them scale, help pastors supplement their wages at the church if your congregation isn't big enough. So I love it. I love the fact that it's okay that we can do both. And we're going to talk about how you scale that business, that it was okay to do, that you brought in income while you were building the ministry, if you will, in a second. But I want to go back to something also as well. Can the church, Bishop, be viewed as a business? And does it offend people to make that reference to the church as a business?
I'll just say it like this. Don't handle your stuff right and see what the IRS or the state government says.
See?
We add to that. Don't handle it well and see what your utilities company says. All of those things require effective management. I was sitting thinking today, I was looking at some budgets, things concerning the church today. One piece of the budget is sometimes people come with needs for benevolence, and they expect not that the church is a charity, but they expect, especially if they are contributing members of the church, they expect that the church will in some way support what's going on with them.
Yes.
If your family member dies and your church doesn't bring you a bucket of
chicken,
if they are not going to bring you,
come on.
And I say that proverbially, say that kind of tongue in cheek, but if your church is not going to help you and willing to do something to assist you or able to do something to assist you, you might feel some type of way.
You're right.
And so the idea of the church being a business, now I think where the waters have gotten muddied is the fact that people have mishandled money. People have abused the income that comes from the church, and they look to get, some leaders have looked to get rich off the backs of the people.
Right.
That should never be the case. When we start talking about the church being a business, the Bible says those of us who labor in the gospel are worthy to be compensated by the gospel.
That's what the Bible says.
So also, and I'm going to get in some deep water here, it should be. Now, it's a lot easier for me to hear God clearly when I'm not under financial pressure.
That's right.
So if the
and your congregation,
right, exactly. But based on that, let me say What that means is to the level that the church is able to accommodate their pastor and their leadership team, to the level, and listen to what I'm saying, to the level that they are able to accommodate, they should try to take the load off to the best of the ability.
Absolutely.
Now, does that absolve leaders if the church
Absolutely.
is not big enough to be able to handle all of their needs to go get a secular job? No.
Right.
It doesn't absolve you. You create streams of income to help supplement what's going on.
I love that.
You know, and I'm going to even dive in, if I may, a little bit deeper and say, pastors, think about something else. How about you create some 501c3s out of the programs that you already have going in your church? Create legitimate 501c3s, manage them properly in a way that you can now receive income through the 501c3.
There you go. And we're about to get into multiple income streams in a minute. So let me just juxtapose this, y'all, because there are entrepreneurs watching, there are different industries watching. But again, y'all, it's nothing wrong. Business means nothing but having a system in place to be profitable. Businesses are set up and they're successful and sustainable when they have efficient systems. So that can be a church, that can be a mall, that can be a hair salon, y'all. So I know some people tend to get disgruntled when we look at the church as a business, but you want your church to have an efficient structure. You want to walk on and the lights be on. You want to go to the bathroom and there be some tissue, preferably some cushiony stuff. You want to have systems in place, y'all. So again, I wanted to ask the bishop that, but I also wanted to share with business owners in general. Businesses are sustained and become successful and, most importantly, significant when you have efficient systems in place. And that can very well be a ministry or a place of faith. Now, the bishop is all in my notes and my script, and we're going to talk about multiple income streams. Do you feel multiple income streams are a key to having a successful business practice?
So let me start here by saying, looking back, I talked about when I sold Yellow Pages. I sold Yellow Pages and did graphics at the same time. What I had to do for me, because I had a family at the time, is until my business got to a level where it was self-sustainable, I had to keep doing the other job while I worked this one, with the vision and the goal in mind that I wanted to get this one to a place where it could take care of me.
Can you slow down and say that again? Because 40%, y'all, or more of businesses go out of business in the first year. So sometimes, y'all, you have to do something in addition to be sustainable. So go ahead. Sorry.
But that's exactly right. And I wanted to drop that in there because sometimes we feel like when entrepreneurship is on us, we feel that burden for entrepreneurship. It just means dive right in. But there is a space and a place for wisdom. There is a space and a place for wisdom. If you have a family who has to eat, it may not be wise to just jump in full-fledged into your entrepreneurship and not maintain and not have some kind of
family plan.
If you are married, that should be a conversation that takes place between you and your spouse about what the plan is in order to develop this to be self-sustaining. Will that spouse keep working the job and the job be able to handle the needs of the house until you get this up and running? You got to consider all of those things and have necessary conversations.
Come on. Yes.
You got to have the necessary conversations about tightening the belt for a little while. Not all of the accoutrements that you're used to. Maybe you're not having 5 streaming services while you're trying to build the business.
That's right.
So you've got to really consider and adapt your behaviors accordingly to make sure that you're building it properly.
Yes, absolutely. Y'all, also too, so if you know my story, I started out in accounting. I started an accounting firm, and then I eventually transitioned into investments, y'all. But when I started the first business, I've had 2, now at Edward Jones makes 3. I worked at the University of Florida, y'all, simultaneously for 4 years until I left. Because I had a family too. I needed to make sure that we ate. I needed to make sure that my child was okay and could get and pay for daycare, y'all. So what Bishop is saying is so important. And you have to make sure your family is on board. One thing y'all know when you see me speaking, y'all, around the country and everything, I'm very candid about my story. I didn't do that. I did not get the buy-in of my family. My son will tell you today, I watch mommy day and night, in that office because she was building a business. And entrepreneurs, we think, well, I'm doing this for y'all. I'm doing this for we can have the time of our lives and go to Bermuda and Bali and all the other big countries. But we don't think to say, hey, I need this much time to build this business. Now, I didn't miss y'all any football games, any track meets. I didn't. But all he remembers is that mommy was focused on this and not on me. So it's very important. What Bishop is saying is very important, that this business is a family plan. Even if the people, your family, are not participating in the business, they're still very much a part of the planning and the patience, y'all, for the progression and the sustaining of the business. Now, talk about how important, Bishop, your team structure has to be to sustain a business, a church, what have you, and scale it.
I'm going to use something I heard years ago to start this for me. It became something, it just messed me up. Man has the mathematical ability to count the number of seeds in one apple. Only God can count the number of apples in one seed.
Oh, come on now.
Let me say that again. Man has the mathematical ability to count the number of seeds in one apple. Only God can count the number of apples in one seed. Now, what does that have to do with your question? I'm glad you asked. Here it is. I sat down and did some math. And I said, if you take one seed, and I did this, I worked it out. If you take one seed and you put it in the ground, and that particular seed only produced one tree, which of course it would, and let's say that tree produced only 10 apples in a season. And in each one of those apples, there were 3 seeds in each apple. At the end of the first season, you have 31 seeds available to you to go into the ground.
Yes.
In the end of the first season, that is something that you can still manage individually. You don't necessarily have to have a team to manage 31 trees. But now, by the next season, you have 31 trees that now produce 10 apples each. And if they produce 10 apples each, and each apple has 3 seeds in it, you're now at over 900 seeds.
Come on, compounding.
And with 900 seeds, I now need some people who can help me.
Yes.
There has to be the moment where your aha moment that you talked about earlier, where you identify, I have now reached a place where I need a team.
Yes.
And then you've got to have wisdom. There's a couple of pieces of the wisdom I'm going to talk about right here. You've got to have the wisdom to, number one, know when to let it go. Know when to release it into someone else's hands.
Yes.
Secondly, well, actually, this is probably first, know what team member you need. But sometimes you're looking for one thing and you really need another.
This is true.
One of the biggest things I need in my life regularly is an administrator. Having an administrator helps me to make sure I keep stuff on track. I have found myself as an itinerant preacher, double booking myself.
Listen, itinerant preacher, financial advisor, I'm always double booking, triple booking.
See what I'm saying? And you got to call, and it's bad because it affects, watch this. Part of the success of your business, entrepreneurs, part of the success of your business is people's belief in your integrity.
Come on.
If they cannot believe in your integrity, they're not going to continue to use your service or product.
That's right.
And so if you are in a space where you are consistently double booking yourself or mishandling your time, then you now run into the danger of people viewing you as a person who lacks integrity.
That's right. And you are the asset of the business.
And you are. And let me throw this in. Now you've not only cut off that customer, but you've cut off the 2 or 3 or 5 that may have come in through that customer because of word of mouth.
That's right.
Never discount word of mouth when it comes to your business. And so if you have shut down that working of that particular area, that your character has shut that down, then you miss out. So again, know what you need. Gain the wisdom to know what you need in a particular season. For me, it's an administrator. For somebody else, listen to me right here. Lord, the preacher's coming out of me.
Teach. Now,
but for somebody else, it's a financial person.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you may not be, now just because you're good, listen to me, entrepreneurs, just because you're good with your finances in your house does not mean you're good with finances when it comes to business.
That's right.
So you need people who know business finance who can help you.
Absolutely.
who can teach you, who can impart into you, who can say, hey, don't make that decision. That's a part of your team. And then the last person I say you need to have a part of your team, and this is not the last necessarily, but one person you need on your team is somebody that can require you to rest.
Come on. I
Because
love
entrepreneurs, we tend to become
workaholics, overcommitted.
and we don't know when to rest. And we think we got to keep working. But the reality is only after you've had some rest can you really think clearly.
So good. I hope you're listening. I hope you're going to put this on replay. So good. And it all goes back to systems, y'all. Those are all systems. Knowing when to scale, knowing what people you need to scale, and then knowing actually when to rest. And you cannot rest. Let me add this. You can't rest if you're doing every job of the business, y'all. A lot of people, they have a sense of pride, y'all, about being self-employed. And honestly, y'all, that's where you start. That's where most of us start. But as you scale, that's nothing to be excited or prideful about, because you are not being as efficient as you could be. And you're certainly limiting your capacity to rest when your hands are in every system and every pot, y'all. The efficient and the successful and the sustainable business has a team that is helping to make the boat float.
And with that, watch, you started saying something and it kind of triggered something in my head. And I just add this. You can't be effective at doing the thing that you built the business for when you're trying to help everybody else.
Come on.
If I'm a pressure washer, if I got to be the financial person, if I got to be this, if I got to be that, and I'm managing and I'm doing everything else in the business, when am I out?
Pressure washing. And most likely, if you started the business, you're the face of the business. Y'all catch my segment. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube and all my channels. As the business owner, you should really strive to be the face of the business. You're supposed to be bringing in the clients and making sure your value proposition is well known throughout whatever your region is. It's local, national, regional, global. And that's why it's also important to have those other teams in place so that the work can continue. Y'all, when I'm out and about, when I'm on the golf course, wherever, I am always promoting my business because I have the team in place sitting behind me to make sure that the work gets done. So absolutely, Bishop, very good. Now we're about to transition this a little bit, y'all. This is a successful business singles podcast, y'all. We are talking to unmarried people building sensational lives and significant businesses. We're going to transition a little bit to the personal side because you said something cool. I was talking about the people you need on your team. You need that person to rest, to cause you to rest. That can be an administrator, that can be a mentor, but it can also be a significant other. So let's talk about the personal side. Now, how do you differentiate yourself as an unmarried minister? How do you keep those boundaries, but still say it's okay to be me?
Take me a little deeper in your question. Though. When you say, how do I do that? What do you want to know from me?
Meaning, you are a bishop. Yes. You have a flock to pastor. But as an unmarried person, that can be sometimes difficult.
Gotcha.
You have people pulling on you and you want to shepherd the flock. You have people needing you to sit down somewhere and rest from your work. But then you also, as a man, I'm assuming, have needs personally that need to be fulfilled. So when I say, how do you differentiate yourself? Is there a difference between somebody who was in the pastorate who was unmarried and somebody who is married?
Very much so. I won't go too deep into it, but there are days when we, as unmarried leaders, we come home. I'll speak for me. I come home, and after having poured out, and I'm the kind of preacher, I leave everything on the floor. Whenever
leave it all on the field, people. Y'all know.
I leave it all. And so I come home after having given everything, and I look around these walls, and there's no one here. And it's not so much that I'm looking for sex as much as it is intimacy.
Yes.
Who now is going to pour back into me now that I've poured out? And again, when I speak of that, I'm not speaking of sex, but that's one of the reasons why a lot of ministers fall into sexual sin, because of the fact that they really want intimacy.
Yes.
And they end up taking the okie doke for the sexual side on the other side of that. So for me, number one, and there's so many questions packed up into your one question.
It was.
And that's why I wanted clarity, make sure I got it. So that's number one. First and foremost, yes, it is very real for us. The distinguishing moment between being the preacher and the married preachers versus us, they go home to somebody.
Yes.
Unmarried preacher, we don't. The second thing I heard within your question is the ability to be an individual in spite you being a pastor or a preacher.
And a business owner.
I make very clear to my church two things that matter to me. My late pastor, Bishop Wright, he had a very open door policy. And I that was him. And I let them know my phone may not be on at 2:00 in the morning.
Come on.
Because if I'm going to be effective, I need to rest. Now, if it's an emergency, my phone is on vibrate. So if it keeps vibrating, it's going to wake me up. But my point is, I'm trying to teach my people to be in a posture where if it's an emergency like that, they have such a relationship with God that they don't have to rely on Bishop showing up for them to be okay. And they know that as soon as Bishop does know, he will show up.
And that's a system. But even for married, y'all, people in the pastor, we need to give them a rest too.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's why we put, pastoral care people, we put that nighttime pastor, that overnight pastor in place. So there's a lot of things. But again, I feel also as an unmarried leader too, that you may, it kind of shields you from temptation too, if the phone goes off at a certain time. So, so thank you for sharing that. But at the same time, you're a man.
Mm-hmm.
Men have needs. Women have needs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you communicate those needs as a man as it regards to relationships?
Well, let me just tie this into the church. I've told my church when it comes to when it's time for me to get married, y'all don't have a say so. And I mean that, and I say that kind of strongly, but that's reality because she's not marrying the church. Now, she does need to be good with people and all that stuff. And I have a working knowledge of what, I'm not even talking about first lady. Before she's y'all's first lady, she's got to be my wife.
That's right. Your first lady.
And so that being said, I need, I've established that on that end, number one. So that now leaves me room that my relationship ain't y'all's business.
Come on.
And I'm not talking about I'm out there doing anything sinful or unholy, but who I date, who I talk to, because somehow church people feel entitled.
Yes, to know everything.
To know everything. No, that's not your business. Because we never get to develop a real relationship if all of them are in it.
Right.
So that's my first statement to that, as far as that part's concerned.
I love it.
Secondly, because I am a man, I think it's important that I am honest with myself. We got to be honest with ourselves about the things that we want in life, and that includes companionship.
Yes.
And what you're looking for when it comes to companionship. Now, I ain't talking about all those lists and all that stuff folk have. No, I'm talking about but being honest with yourself that there's a need, that there's an open space there that you would love to have filled. And then in an integral way, what does it look like to begin to communicate with, to date, to, and there's so many different, I get frustrated with people who talk about, the dating thing, and they got different words for dating versus courting, and all that frustrates me.
Right.
That totally frustrates me because we need a working knowledge of what whoever me and this person are, we got to have a working knowledge of what this is going to look like.
And again, be shaped within you all's
framework,
your timeline, and how you spend your time together and all of that.
Exactly.
Well, I love it. And I love that you're out there. I want to say that, I actually found out about you through a dating group, a Christian single group. So I think that's phenomenal. There are several ministers and ministries represented there, and we all should be out there looking. It's okay to actively date, like you said, with integrity, but intention, because again, we want to come home and have our cup filled. A lot of times as business owners, as ministers, you are pouring out. It's really synonymous. It's really no different for business owners. We're working the 60-hour weeks. And even if you're achieving great things, y'all, I come home all the time and have nobody to share it with, to share the accolades or the work. And again, even to have somebody fill my cup. So I think that is so awesome. So do you have somebody in mind or a time frame that you may want to get remarried?
Do I have somebody in mind? I'm a holdout.
Your podcast, so I got to slide a little bit of stuff in.
Look, I'm going to hold that.
You have that right.
I'm going to hold that one.
Hold it.
And even timeline, no, I don't have a timeline. I'm trying not to slip into ministry mode here, but I feel something because I've been divorced almost 14 years, actually right at 14 years now, and 13 years divorced. And part of I used business and ministry as an excuse not to begin to pursue relationships. I used them as an excuse, but in reality, some of the underlying reason was my fear.
Come on.
It was my fear of being hurt because of the pain that I had gone through in the closing of my marriage. And so I went through a period, I went through years, we're talking over a decade, where I can tell you I've only dated / only really been involved with 1, 2, maybe 3 people total in 13 years. Now that's saying a lot, and those didn't really all last that long. So that meant I was totally single for most of that.
Come on, somebody, I know what you're talking about.
So I'm sharing this because maybe it'll help somebody, but part of it was because I masked, because I'm building a business. And at the time, my bishop had a stroke in 2013. He had a stroke in 2013. I became the preaching pastor of our church. He still retained the title. I became preaching pastor every week. I was responsible to hold that church together. So it was my excuse. I'm responsible to take care of the church. I don't have time to date. I don't have time to do. And it's understandable. But at the end of the day, there was still something missing. I'm now the senior pastor of that church. Bishop has gone home to be with the Lord. I've been pastoring the church for 3 years now. I'm now February 23rd will make exactly 3 years that I've been pastoring the church. I've now reached the space where I said, I am no longer going to make the excuse, oh, I'm pastoring and I got to build the church. No. Could it be that the part of me that's missing that will help me build the church might help me?
Potentially, possibly.
Pray about it. Pray about it.
Come on, I love it. And y'all, and again, this episode just happened to be about a bishop who is a businessman. But even in business, y'all, we use that. We're on the grind. We use that as an excuse to not have right relationships. Or we use that to hide or hurt some masks, some unhealed hurts, y'all, some unchecked expectations. So business owners, listen, that was the bishop telling his story. But now we're looking at you, business owner. Are you hiding behind that business because you've been hurt? And if you do desire a relationship, please know that you're going to have to get healing. You're going to have to learn how to balance the business and the relationship. Y'all, it was my business that I thought I was building for the family that cost me my marriage. I was married, and then in the middle of the business coming to its peak, I became unmarried because I did not take the time to be committed to my marriage, y'all, as I should have been, as committed as I was to the business. So business owners do it too, y'all. We hide behind the work, or we just don't know how to balance the two. But as a rabbi, it was a rabbi who told me, again, he's like, perhaps it's that man that's going to help you be able to balance your life and take some of the things off your plate. As a matter of fact, he said, a good man could be able to help you balance your life and take some of that stuff off your plate. But y'all, we have to get healed. We have to get in a place where, yes, we want successful businesses. We want sustainable businesses, of course. But if you want that relationship, you're going to have to learn how to balance the two. All right, y'all, this is good stuff. This is successful business singles, y'all, talking about not only how to have sustainable businesses, but successful businesses and successful lives. You master your business, you master your life. That's what I always say. So as we wrap this up, Bishop, I like to always talk to business owners about exit strategy, because a lot of us, we say we're going to work forever. I'm going to die in the pulpit. I'm going to die behind my desk. And it doesn't necessarily have to be so. As much as we love it, I believe all businesses, nonprofit, faith-based, should have an exit strategy. That could be to transition out through retirement. That could be to acquire a business or get other people to assume key roles. Bishop, business owner, do you have an exit strategy?
I do. The funny thing is, let me frame it like this. One thing about life is about evolution. Life is about development. I was just having a conversation with God the other day about who I needed him to be when I was 15. It's not who I need him to be now at 50 or close to 50. I ain't 50 yet, but I'm almost there.
We almost there. We're knocking on.
We're knocking. But having said that, what was my driving point or what took care of me back then may not be the thing that's for me in this season of my life now. And I've recognized that. So now when it comes to my graphic business, do I still do graphics? Occasionally. I recognize the need to pull back from doing graphics because I needed to now focus on the other things that were important in my life. So I'm now selective of the clients I choose to do graphics for now.
I love it.
And so I didn't, it used to be, it was $65 for a flyer. And some of my customers cried about paying $65 for a flyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if you're one of those customers that cry about paying $65 for a flyer, then you're not my customer.
You are not my client. Y'all listen well. Ideal client profile.
See,
I got short on that.
Exactly. So I say that to say, going back to the exit strategy, I had to make a decision. I had to decide. Now, when it came to this particular business, because I was sole proprietor, I could scale it back and say, I don't want to do this very much anymore now. I'm going to shift into what is my now.
Yes.
I know that I'm years and years away, decades away from retiring. But in the meantime, when I say retiring, I'm talking about retiring in its totality. I'm decades away from that. But right now, there are other things that are important to me. Community work is important to me.
Yes.
I do a lot of work here in the community. So now what I have shifted my focus to is now I'm building something that will create a stream of income for me by way of doing things in the community. So I can phase out more of the graphic stuff. So you have to come to a place where you identify, when is my moment to say, this is it.
It's enough.
And if I can add one more thing, this ties in with church, but it also ties in with business as well. Many pastors hand their church over if they either die in the pulpit, as you said, or from the pulpit, or they don't hand their church over when it's in its high. They wait until it's in decline, and now that person who's their successor has to now build what was, or what will be. And so we feel like we're supposed to hold it forever. A wise man doesn't hold it forever, but identifies when the moment is to now bring his successor into his place. And I say his, not meaning it's gender non-specific. Please hear me. Gender non-specific. But a wise man knows when to bring the successor in place, because watch this. There's things that you and I in our 40s don't know that someone in their 30s does know.
Absolutely.
And so to now bring them under our wing and make them our right hand so that they can take the business to its next level, it can still have your name on it. Your name can still be on the side of the building.
Yes.
And while your name is on the side of the building, they're running it with your name on it.
Come on.
And they're now perhaps improving on what you did. Does that make you bad? Watch this. That's one of the reasons why we're afraid to let go.
Come on.
Sometimes we're afraid to let go because it will make it, if someone comes in and does it better than us, we'll feel like we didn't do well, or we failed, or we look bad because they did it better. No,
listen, y'all, this is good stuff. This is good business strategy too. Oh my God, you're just all in the exit strategy framework. So first of all, let me go back and unpack some things, y'all, because this is great for all businesses. Exit strategy is business strategy, and business strategy should include exit strategy. You need to have a time frame. You need to know what that looks like. You need to know what you want to transition out of and into. Bishop said something really key. He does a lot of things in the community. A lot of people, business owners, I'm talking about entrepreneurs, do not exit because their life has been built, their substance, their worth has been built around making that business succeed. I help business owners during my consultations, y'all, come up with a personal life transition plan so you can still feel significant when you transition, because a lot of times our worth is tied up in that business. So you got to come up with other ways to feel significant, other ways to lend contribution to your economy and your community. And Bishop was saying, as far as churches, you can set up 501c3s that can still allow you to have an income stream, faith-based organizations. You can be a board member, business owners on some other boards in the community that'll help you transition. So that's one thing. You need to be building that dream team, whether you're going to exit to a successor pastor, or you're going to exit, or you're going to pass it on, y'all, to family members, or you're going to pass it on to your management team, or even a third party outside of the business. Y'all know which way you want to go, or get some education on the way that you can exit to all those entities, because those are all options, y'all. So make sure you have that person. And if it is somebody inside your organization, go ahead and groom them now. You don't even have to tell them that you may be passing the torch to them, but put them in place. And at some time, of course, you do need to reveal your plan, but go ahead and start grooming them. Get the ideas out of your head and your heart on some paper, or get it down to the next level of management, leadership, y'all, so that they can start filling in the blanks. And do not, we're going to have a whole, y'all, segment on the 5 Ds that destroy a business. That could be a church. That could be anything. Death, disagreement, divorce, all of those are things that y'all can interrupt a business. So you don't want to exit a business in crisis.
Can I
have a plan? Yes, come on.
Can I drop something right there? Because you right where you said when you started on that the 5 Ds, I was over here thinking about when we start talking about exit plans. Every business owner should have an emergency plan. And what I mean by emergency plan specifically as it relates to that, you hit the first D, death. Tomorrow is not promised for anyone. We would all like to live a long life and so on and so forth, but we want our businesses to live after us.
That's right.
So if you passed away tomorrow, where would your business go? What would happen? Who would take responsibility? What are the plans for that business? Most of us think exit strategy, and we think 20 years from now when you retire. But God forbid you don't wake up tomorrow.
Yes.
Who is your successor? Does the business carry on? Will it thrive? Will it survive? How do you make that happen? What do you have in place, even for a moment like that?
Come on.
Considering that and let me not even just stop with death, but keep in mind, we have a lady right here in the city right now who just passed away. She just passed away, but she had a stroke. It doesn't have to be death. It could be
debilitation. Come on, y'all.
Then what?
A disability.
So you've got to consider when we're talking exit plans and exit strategies, it doesn't just include the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan, but you need the emergency plan or contingency plan in place just in case.
Just in case. Because your exit, y'all, can be involuntary.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm sorry.
This is good. These are all things, y'all. So whoever, if you're just watching, my business, Freedom Financial Consulting, helps people not only scale their business, y'all, to be sustainable, but it helps people not only extract to build personal net worth while they're building business net worth, but it also helps you put strategies in place, y'all, so you can exit on your own terms, whether it's voluntary or involuntary. You need a consult. Yes, it's a shameless plug right here. It's all free to start. You can see the show notes on how to contact us for that, because it's so important, y'all, because again, you want to exit on your own terms. That is the importance, of it all. So as we wrap this up, y'all, we're going to drop some nuggets right here. It's okay to have multiple income streams. It is okay to start a business because you're passionate about it, but have something that you are skilled and can be rewarded for monetarily while you're building that business to where you want to go. Get a great team in place, y'all. Put the team in place so that you can share the load. You can share the wealth of knowledge. You can even build people, empower people by having the right people on your team. It's okay, y'all, to take a break. It's okay to have a person to enjoy life with and to enjoy your successes with, business owners. No man is an island, and nor should you be. It's okay to rest, and it's okay to work hard as well. And y'all, it's okay to exit. just because you built it, just because you were the visionary, doesn't mean you can't pass the baton. Okay. So those are the nuggets. Again, you can get in touch with us if you want to explain any of those options. Bishop, it was so great to have you on the show today. What do you want to leave with the people?
I think the one thing I want to leave with the people is just commit to being a good leader. Commit to being a good business owner. Commit to being fair, being honest, and being good at what you do. Don't just become an entrepreneur because your auntie and them told you that's something you ought to do.
Right.
If you are trying to become a business owner, those who may be watching who may not fully be into it yet, there are plenty of classes out there, whether it be in your community school or community or whatever, even YouTube. There's enough information, a wealth of information out there that will allow you to learn all of the things that you need to learn to be a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So take the time, invest in yourself so that you can invest in your business being sustainable by learning the things you need to learn. And by doing so, you will be a blessing to so many people, not just you. The one thing I realize is this: when it comes down to it, when you build a successful business, depending on what type of business you have, if you are a person of integrity and you are a person of good character and you do good business, the people that you hire, their lives and their families are affected.
That's right.
Whether positively or negatively, their families are affected. So you got to think about that your business isn't just for you, it's for others as well. So think beyond you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bishop. So true, y'all. So true. So again, y'all, this is the Freedom Enterprise and Entrepreneurial series of the Successful Business Single podcast. So if you have a business, y'all, you are nearing the 1 million or 2 million mark and you want to schedule a financially fit assessment to determine if you're exit ready, give us a call. If you have a successful story about how you built a significant business. You heard Bishop talking about significant business. It's not just about income, y'all. It's about impacting the lives around you in your community. And you like to share that story, you can email us at successfulbutsinglepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your story. We'd love to get you on the show. So join me next time as we talk with another successful CEO who has built a significant, sustainable, and hopefully one day sellable practice, y'all. This is the Successful Business Singles Podcast. We'll see you soon.